Okay, so you're in this interesting position with the New Orleans Business Line. So we've obviously worked with the New Orleans Business Lines for production beforehand, and in the first moments of sitting down, everybody has to kind of say, "What do you do?"
Yeah.
Can you give me the thing that you tell folks in an elevator when they wonder why we have like a Chamber of Commerce and a New Orleans and Company representing tourism and a New Orleans Business Alliance? Where do you fit into that ecosystem?
Yeah,
what is that?
Absolutely. So we are officially the public-private entity that works on growing our workforce and also economic development within the city of New Orleans. And what I mean by public-private partnership is that we were formed out of Mayor Landrieu's administration about 8 years ago, and now work with the current administration in sort of a semi-official capacity. On top of that, we're also a nonprofit, so we're funded by other businesses and institutions throughout the city. In terms of what we work on, we actually have 4 pillars that we base all of our efforts on. The first being, it's the end of the day, right? Friday, so I'm like, when I hit these, my elevator speech is like, it's better be a big tower.
I got your back.
We've got place-based economics, or economic development. So one example of that would be the Claiborne Corridor and the work.
Place-based economics.
Right. So neighborhood-focused and centric areas for economic development that is inclusive of the community in terms of that growth.
Would that include like the corridor on O.C. Haley?
It would. That's not like a project that we are particularly involved in at this moment, but it definitely that sort of idea. If you look at the Claiborne Innovation District, CID NOLA, I think is their website, that's really more what our current one is, and then we're working to like expand that. So that's sort of our first pillar. Our second one is the small business ecosystem. So being here and trying to grow that, helping startups stay up, scale up is our big mission there. The third would be just the classic economic development, bringing and keeping businesses in Orleans Parish. And the fourth that I think is really important to tie into this that really few economic development organizations tackle is workforce development.
Sure. So
being able to say like, look, our people in New Orleans are our best resource and we need to help them find and secure jobs that will help them in terms of being in a resilient city, and then also it feeds into being able, if we want businesses to move here, we also have to be like, well, look, we also have employees that are great, that are ready to fill these positions. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a two-way street because when you think of your people on every level in terms of skill sets.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you have this big push and you have your community members who all of a sudden have lots of formal education and there are no companies here to work at.
Where
do they go? Right, you have the brain drain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that piece, and then there's the companies either already being here or the ones that you want to attract here. So industry attraction, and you have to do both simultaneously. Which Dana mentioned, we are probably, I think, and I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure we are the only economic development organization in the country who has all of that under one roof,
and which is very unique to New Orleans because we. Obviously, folks know that we run an apprenticeship program in-house, so 22 to 26 start folks as junior apprentices, senior apprentices, eventually moving into full-time positions. And we felt like we were on the cusp of these larger organizations that were actually beginning to even think about workforce development because it felt like in education, it was heresy for you to even consider that somebody might graduate high school and then train to be an electrician.
Yeah.
When those are incredibly in-demand jobs.
Right.
And it seems like there's been this turn in the last 4 years where you get folks like the Youth Force NOLAs, organizations like the NOCC that's just open, Uncommon Construction, who are diving headlong into this, which I think is fantastic.
Right, and healthcare is a great example too, because then you have, so Delgado Community College they have 31 allied health programs, which means like anybody from, RNs to different skill sets and clinicians, lab technicians, the folks who are really running the operations of the healthcare business behind the scenes that you don't really think about if you just think about like, I just need to go see my doctor and maybe there's a nurse there. Well, there's also a lot of other folks doing skilled labor. So we have those programs already in place. If you think about like DXC technology is a great example.
Well, can you explain what DXC technology is? I drive by on the highway. Their name is on a building. I'm very excited that they're here. I have no idea what they do.
Oh, Dana, you might have to take that. I'm not a tech person.
You're not?
I'm not a tech person. I I don't want to misspeak.
I don't want to either.
Programming, they need coders and programmers. That's all I know. If anybody knows what that means, jump in.
Yeah, DXC, where you at? They, I believe they do stuff with data.
Right. So
right?
Well, I'll tell you why I brought them up. So I brought them up because
You're asking the marketing person. I just write.
Right.
I don't.
I'll do my homework. I'm not over tech, but I need to be better.
Yeah,
about it.
we're getting there.
But we brought them up because they have very formal relationships. So part of the agreement for them to actually come here and set up shop entailed them saying, we want formal official relationships, regular rhythms. So like, I don't know if they meet monthly or what, but my boss meets with them. I think there's a monthly meeting going on his level, probably more often at other levels, but they meet regularly with UNO and I think with Delgado, and they have a direct hand in crafting the curriculum, like in their computer science programs, so that the graduates coming out of those like undergrad programs or wherever have the skill set. So in theory, you're eliminating any barriers to them applying for jobs. And then I think UNO is at the point right now where they're just looking to do certificate programs.
To get folks into jobs as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't need to spend 4 years in a 4-year institution to learn technology that's already outdated. You know,
by the time you've
done one class.